Hello everyone, and I welcome you all in the session for AZ-700, that is designing and implementing Microsoft networking solution. We are absolutely good to start our exam prep session for AZ-700, and thank you very much everyone for joining me today in this session in here. And I welcome you all in this exam preparation session for AZ-700 once again. If you guys want to get updated for the upcoming webinars and the events what we are conducting on a free node, so for the same, what you guys can do, you can visit to the link that is gtechlearn.com/webinars.axpx and to register yourself for the upcoming webinar and the events what we are conducting on a free basis, and make yourself more clear for the exam practices for the different courses what we have in here, like MB220, MB230, AZ-700, SC200, SC300, AZ-305, PL900, and so on. So you can visit to that specific link and go to our website and do register yourself for the different webinars as per your requirement and make yourself prepare for the certification exam. Or else what you can do, you can scan that QR code from your scanner on your mobile and get access to the different webinars over there. That's okay. Now, moving ahead and talking about the certification journey for AZ-700, that how do we get certified as Azure Network Engineer Associate itself. So for the same, if I'm talking about this one, so as of now, you are here, and in the certification journey, we need to talk that how do we get started for the preparation and for the study material of AZ-700, and which type of trainings which we can take if we want to go with the certification of AZ-700. Talking about the prerequisites in here, so if you guys have a Microsoft Azure fundamentals experience with you, that would be really helpful for you in order to complete your AZ-700 certification. And apart from that, you can go for the Microsoft training for your AZ-700. On the same node, we are having the multiple training options are available in here. As you can see in the screen, if I'm talking about the training in here, so on the same, you can have self-paced online learning material available onto the Microsoft Learn for AZ-700, as well as you can go for the AZ-700 Azure Network Engineer Associate Instructor Training Program as well. Apart from that, once you guys are done with the training for AZ-700, then what should be expected hands-on experience what you guys have in AZ-700? So as we all know that by the name, that is the certification exam that is totally dedicated into the Azure networking related things. So if I'm talking about the hands-on experience things in here, so after completing the training for your AZ-700, you guys have a good hands-on experience on implementing the service endpoint, implementing the load balancer, implementing the point to site VPN, Azure monitor configurations, or if you want to get further virtual NAT over there. So those all are the things what you guys can do very easily after completing the training and make yourself prepared for the examination. That's okay. Talking about the learning things in here, so I am opening up my browser in here. Let me quickly open it up. And from in here, if I'm closing those things in here, and here you guys can easily search for AZ-700 Microsoft. And once you are on this page, here you can see the first link, that is learn.microsoft.com for AZ-700. Let me open it up. And now here guys, you can see you are on the official course page of AZ-700. And also I am sharing that link onto the chat box for your reference. And here you can see all the detail that is related to your examination. If I'm scrolling it down on the page, so now here you can see what are the skills are going to be managed or measured when you are appearing yourself for the examination, and you have to prepare yourself for those areas in order to crack the certification exam for AZ-700 and make yourself Azure Network Security or Azure Network Engineer Associate Certified Self. That's okay. So now if I'm talking about the preparation ways for the same, so now in the screen you guys can see that you guys can have two different ways are available, and I'm seeing some annotations on the screen, so please do not make any annotations over there. And if you guys have any query and the questions related to the session, so you can put your queries over to the chat and I'm really happy to answer all of them in here. That's okay. Now, if I am talking about the preparation ways, what we have present in here, so you can see that we have two different options are available. The first one that is online and a free training, and the next one that is a instructor-led paid training. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the online free training in here. So in that section, you can see that you are having your learning path available. That is for AZ-700 designing and implementing Microsoft Azure networking solution. And inside that, you are containing 8 different modules. That is an intermediate level course where you are getting all the details. And if I'm clicking onto the start button in here, so now you can enter and access all the modules what we have available into that specific learning path. And inside each and every module, you can see what are the different lessons what we have and what are the different things what we have available and we need to cover in order to crack our AZ-700 examination. That's all right. Apart from that, once we are on the learning path and we are on in the module, then for checking your learning, that what are the things you have learned so far in the session, you can have the summary and the knowledge check sessions also available into it, and you can easily go through with those knowledge check session and summary and the resources section. As well as here you can see in all of those modules, you have the exercises are present over there. And by opening up these exercises, what you can do, you can go for your hands-on experiences and lab practicals for the same. And if you go for the Azure subscription, then you can create your free trial by visiting up to that specific link that is mentioned in here, that is azure.com/free. So this is the link which you guys can access in order to create your free subscription and go with the different hands-on related things. So that is the one way how you can go ahead and prepare yourself for the AZ-700 examination. So that is a online free course that is available into the Microsoft Learn website over there. That's okay. Apart from that, if you go with the paid one, so for you, there is an instructor-led training is also available, and you can simply click onto that one. And then you can see this is a 3 days course program into this language. This course is available, and once you are registering yourself and finding a learning partner for yourself, so you will get one Microsoft certified trainer who is going to teach you the AZ-700 and clearing your doubt and making you prepare for your AZ-700 certification examination over there. So you can select your country and region, and accordingly you can go ahead and search for the specific learning partner. So that is the way how you can prepare yourself for the AZ-700 examination. And once you are done with the learning things over there, then you can have access to the self-study resources over there by having the hands-on lab experience by creating the subscription over there. You can go and refer to different Microsoft talks related to the topics and the things that are necessary in AZ-700 examination. Or else, if you want to make yourself prepare by the exam practices over there before that, so for the same, what you guys can do, you can go ahead and utilize the Microsoft official practice test for the same, and in which what you guys can do, you can practice for the examination and you will see the questions how you are getting the questions into the examination. If I'm talking about the today's session, so in this session we are also going to discuss some important topics over there that is necessary in order to complete the AZ-700 certification. As well as at the end of the session, we are having some example questions are also available that you can see in your examination. That's all right. So that is the whole certification journey, what you guys have to follow if you wanted to get certified as a Azure Network Engineer Associate. All right. Moving ahead and talking about the important areas, what we need to cover, what needs to be completed in AZ-700 in order to successfully crack the examination. So the entire AZ-700 is divided into 5 different important areas, as you can see in the screen. So the first area that is known as a design, implement, and manage hybrid networking. And from this area, we are getting 10 to 15% of the question weightage into the examination. Then we have another area on the line that is design and implement core networking infrastructure. And from that specific area, we are getting 20 to 25% of the question weightage into the examination. Apart from that, we have the next certification area present down the line in here, that is design and implement routing. And from that specific area, you are likely to see 25 to 30% of the question weightages over there in the examination. Talking about the next area, what we need to complete in order to prepare ourselves for the AZ-700 examination, that is secure and monitor networks. And from the specific objective area, we are getting 15 to 20% of the question weightage in our examination. And the last but not the least, the important area for the AZ-700 examination is design and implement private access to Azure services. And from that specific area, we are likely to see 10 to 15% of the questions over there. That's okay. So that is the thing what we need to know in order to work with the AZ-700 exam preparation. Now let's just talk about the exam things, that how exam is getting and what are the things what we have in the examination. So if I'm talking about this certification examination, so you guys are having total 150 minutes of time for the examination, and in those 150 minutes you have 120 minutes available for your examination, and the additional 30 minutes are for setting up yourself for your examination, like your check-in process, your proctoring related things over there. And in the examination, you will receive around 40 to 50 questions accordingly. And there are different categories of questions are available into your examination. If I am talking about the examination question categories over there, so you can have first examination category available, and in that specific question category, you are getting the examination based on the case study over there. And in the case study, you guys are having the current environment study available, that how any organization, any fictitious organization like Contoso or Fabricum is running their workload, how that organization is going to be work, what is the existing workload that are deployed onto that specific fictitious organization, and what are the problems as of now the organizations are facing, and as a network engineer associate, what are the correct solutions are, what are the requirements that you can provide to that specific organization in order to work better. And based on that case study, you guys are getting the 7 to 8 questions accordingly onto that category of examination. Apart from that, if I'm talking about the second category in here, so in that specific category, you are getting the situation based questions over there. And which type of situation you are getting, you guys are having one problem available, and for that specific problem you are having 4 or 5 multiple solutions are present as a part of the individual solution, and you need to select a true for the specific correct solution and false for the incorrect solution for that specific problem. The important thing is that for that type of category questions in the examination, you cannot go back once you answer the specific question. So that is the important thing when you are giving your examination, please read the questions very carefully, mark the answers properly, because you will not get any chance to go back and change your answer over there. Talking about the third type of questions, what you are getting into the specific examination. So in that case, you can get the different simulation related things in your examination. You will get one scenario, and based on that scenario, you have to simulate the solution onto the sandbox environment over there. So you will get one sandbox environment with you, and based on that, you have to provide the proper solution by giving some practical things over there. Apart from that, we have one more question category available, and that is simply your MCQ based categories are available. So you guys are getting, my apologies, getting one exam or one question scenario based on the AZ-700 use cases. What are the topics what we have covered in entire AZ-700? And based on that, we are having multiple options are available, and you need to select one or more than one correct answer for that specific scenario. So that is the different category of examinations question what we are getting into the MS700 certification examination. The important thing is that if talking about the exam scores in here, so there are total marks of 1000 for your examination, and at least you need to score 700 or more in order to crack your AZ-700 certification over there. And the important thing is that you have to answer every question. You cannot skip any questions. However, you can review for the question. So if you want to review the question, you can mark those questions as a review later. And then once you are done with all the questions for that specific section, then you can go ahead and again review that specific question and change your answer if you want. Apart from that, you can review all your questions once you are moving ahead and submitting your examination over there. So that is the some detail that is related to the examination, that how you are getting the examinations over there, how your examination things are going to be. And apart from that, if I'm moving back to my browser in here, so let me go back one or two steps, and here you can see if I'm talking about this one AZ-700. So now in here we can also access the exam sandbox where we can demo the experience, like how our exam looks like. So I'm clicking on a specific link that is exam sandbox, and it will opening up the exam sandbox environment for me, and you guys can see that how we are gonna see the exam screen over there. So it is opening up. We have to just wait for few moments. And now here you can see that I have redirected to the exam sandbox. It is opening up. And now here you can see the exam user interface. So once you are done with the check-in process and all the things, then you will see this screen that is for your Microsoft certification exam agreement. Then you can select this yes and go for the next. And then you will see that whatever the course for which you are appearing in, as of now for this session, you are getting examination for AZ-700. How many questions are there in your examination? How many question cases studies? What is the maximum time for the exam? And what is the minimum score required to pass this exam? You will see all that details on your screen. Once you are okay with that, you can go with the next option. And here you can see the welcome and some details over there. Then go with the next option, and here you can see ready to start the exam. And now in that case, here you can see the time available for you for the examination and the number of questions that you are getting in your specific examination. That's okay. Then you, once you are good with that, you can go ahead and start your exam. If you want to change the color scheme, then you can change the color scheme accordingly. That is totally up to you, that how you want to give your examination. That's all right. Then once you are good with that, you can go with start exam, and then you can click on the next, and here you will see the questions over there. Like I have selected this as a correct option, And let me go with the next. And here I'm selecting the Apple as a correct answer. I want to review this question later. Then I can go with the next. Let me select the multiple answer and I want to review that question later. Then I can go with the next. Then I can select the answer. What is the lamp? And I can drag and drop the specific answers in here. So now you can see the desk chair. I need to crop it in here. And the chest set, I have to select the answer. That is the one. So let me quickly select some random answers as of now. Okay, so I have selected these drag and drop questions in here. Let me go with the next, and then here I have to select the action in the exam area. So we can select the specific actions accordingly. So let me go ahead and select this one, that one, and this one as a correct answer. Then let me go with the next. And here I can see the exhibit where I am having this image available with me, and based on that I am having the question available over there. So once I have done with that, I can go with the next, and then I'm getting the different questions. That's okay. Let me mark some random answers in here, and let me select this one, go with the next. Okay, go with the next. That is going to be the correct. And now here you can see I have two unanswered question. So I can come back into it and then I can see that which option we need to select onto the properties area. And here I can see where is the solution is. Okay, so I have selected that option. Let me go with the next, and this one is selected. Let me go with the next, and now you can see I have marked one question for the review. So I can go for the review, and if I'm okay with that, let me remove it and go for the next. And once I'm done with that, you can finish your examination, and accordingly you can see your result once you finish the examination. So if you score more than 700 or 700, you will pass the exam. Otherwise you can pass the exam. So that is the exam experience. And if you want to give the feedback to the question, then you can give the comments as well, or you can finish your examination. And as of now, you can see that whatever the things is coming up. So that is the way how your exam goes like. And once the examination gets done, then you will be able to see your score report as well. That's okay. So that is the whole exam experience what you guys are having when you are giving the examination. So that is all the information that is required for the examination, that how do you prepare yourself for the AZ-700 examination, how the examination environment look likes, and what are the different type of questions and the things what we are getting in the examination. So that is all the information, and now we can go ahead and start the exam preparation session on an official note for AZ-700 for designing and implementing Microsoft Azure networking solution. So let's get started with the session in here with a quick introduction in here. My name is Ayush Mishra, and I am working as a Microsoft certified trainer for GTechLearn. And if I'm talking about my technical exposure, so I'm having 6+ years of experience into the IT industry and in the training domain as well. I have started myself as a system administrator, then slowly and gradually I have upgraded myself towards the infrastructure side of Microsoft Azure, and as well as I've started working towards the Power Platform and the Dynamics 365 area of Microsoft Azure as well. And apart from that, if I'm talking about my technical exposure, so I have upgraded myself also onto the Microsoft Exchange and the different Microsoft technologies as well. Talking about my time in here, so my 60% of time goes for training the customers and the clients what we have based on the different geolocations, and the 40% of my time for goes to consulting different customers over there. And I have certified into 10 plus certifications from Microsoft on a different things what we have on a different domains what we have like Azure infrastructure. Inside that I have certified in AZ-500, AZ-700, AZ-305, AZ-104 over there. From Microsoft Power Platform domain, I have certified in PL900, PL200, PL100 related certifications. And from the Dynamics area, I have certified in MB920, 910, MB220, and different certifications over there. So that is little bit about me in terms of myself, what I am working up, what I is working on. So that is all about me. Let's get started with the session. Moving ahead in here. So first thing, what we are going to discuss that is virtual network IP address space. So before starting with that, we need to know that what is virtual network. That's okay. So if I'm talking about the virtual network in here, so Azure Virtual Network are the fundamental building block of your private network, whatever you are creating in Azure. For example, if I have my on-premises office available and I have my on-premises office are there, and inside my that office, I am having my machine setup available. I have few computers are available. I have few network printers are there. I have my different devices, laptops are present over there, and I am connecting all those devices while creating a local area network over there. So same as like that, when we are having the different resources are present over to our Azure cloud environment, like we have virtual machines are there, we have a storage account, we have SQL database, we have SQL server are there into the Microsoft Azure. So for connecting all of those resources with each other, what we can do, we can go ahead and deploy the Azure virtual network, and that will enable you to build the complex virtual network that are totally similar to an on-premises network as I told you. That's okay. If I'm talking about the benefit of Azure Virtual Network, so that will give you the scalability, availability, and the isolation over there. So if I'm talking about more related to the virtual network, so that is a representation of your own network in a cloud, as I told you. Apart from that, we can have multiple capabilities are there present into the Azure Virtual Network, like communication with internet. So by using the virtual network, your all resources in a virtual network can communicate outbound to the internet. That's okay. You can maintain or create the communication between the Azure resources, as I told you. You can also maintain the communication between your on-premises resources towards your Azure cloud environment, like in a securely extended network. Means if I'm talking about the connection between on-premises resources to Azure, so by using the VPN, Azure ExpressRoute, you can create, as well as you can maintain and create the network filtering and the routing by using the Azure virtual network over there. That's okay. Now, when we are considering for designing the Azure virtual network, in that case, that picture comes up in the line, that is virtual network IP address space and the subnet. So you can create multiple virtual network per region and per subscription. You can create multiple subnets within each virtual network. Then the question comes up, what is the difference between address space and the subnet? So most of the time when I'm delivering the batches, so people ask me, hey Ayush, what is the difference between the address space and the subnet? So when we are talking about the address space, so that is the entire area, that is the entire space what we have available. If I'm talking about in a layman example, so if we have a full home available, that should be known as our address space. And inside that home, we are having separate rooms are available. That is known as a specific subnet. So in address space is the entire address space, and the subnet is a small part of that specific subnet. So whenever we are creating a VNet, it's already recommended that we need to use the IP address ranges that are enumerated into the RFC set over there, because when we are creating a virtual network, few IP addresses are reserved by the Microsoft Azure over there. So what are the reserved IP address? Like .0, .1, .2, .3, and 255, those 5 IPs are reserved. .0 IP is reserved for the network address. .1 is reserved by the Azure for the default gateway. .2 and .3 IP is reserved by the Azure map to the Azure DNS IPs to the virtual network space. And .255 ID is reserved for the network broadcast address. It means that if we are creating a virtual network with that space, that is 10.0.0/16, so in that specific case, 10.0.0.0, 10.0.0.1, 10.0.0.2, 10.0.0.3, and 10.0.0.255 is going to be the reserved IP by the Microsoft Azure, and we cannot utilize those IP addresses over there. That's okay. Now, if I'm talking about the unavailable IP address ranges, so these all are the IP addresses range that we cannot utilize in order to create a virtual network over there, because that IP is going to be used for the multicast 255, 255, 255, 255 plus 32 CIDR value is going to be used for the broadcast. This one is going to be used for a loopback IP address. That one is for the link local, and this IP is going to be used for the internal DNS over there. So for the same, we cannot go ahead and utilize those IP addresses while creating the virtual network. That's okay. Apart from that, when we are talking about the subnets in here, so if we want to divide our entire network into the different small groups over there, so for the same, what we can do, we can create the subnet inside the virtual network. So the important thing is, guys, what you need to remember when you are implementing the virtual network in Azure, when you are creating the virtual network, first of all, you need to select the specific address space what you want to select, and then after you have to provide the subnet detail over there, that how many subnet you want to create over there. So for example, if I have created a address space with 512 IP address or 1024 IP addresses over there, so for the same, what we can do, we can create the multiple subnets over there accordingly. So by using that, we can create the segmentation of a virtual network by creating one or more than one subnet. We can also provide the logical division within our virtual network. And also subnets can help to improve the security, and it will also increase the performance, and that will also make us easier to manage the network. For example, if I'm having some web servers are present, if I'm having some SQL server are there, if I'm having some file servers are there, and we want to put all of those servers into a same network, so instead of putting all the things into a one subnet, what we can do inside a virtual network, we can create three different subnet. The first subnet is used for the SQL servers, second subnet is going to be used for the web servers, and the third server is going to be used for the file servers over there. So we have that capability available into the Microsoft virtual Azure virtual network. And the most important thing is that each subnet must have a unique address range, and that cannot be overlapped with the other subnet in the virtual network or in the subscription as well. That's okay. Now, moving ahead and talking about the private IP address allocation in here. So we all know that we have two types of IP addresses are available, public IP and the private IP. With having the private IP, we can connect with our internal network, and by having the public IP over there, we can connect with the internet as well, because public IP is routable over to the internet, but the private IP is not routable over to the internet. So in this slide, we can see that where we can allocate the private IP address. So if we are creating a virtual machine, so onto that specific network interface card of that virtual machine, we can allocate the private IP address for the internal communications inside the virtual network. If we are implementing the internal load balancer, so for the front end configuration of that specific internal load balancer, where we are balancing the load of the traffic inside the virtual network, so on that case, we can allocate the private IP address on the front end configuration thing. Then, if we are implementing the application gateway onto the same for the front end configuration, we can go ahead and allocate the private IP address. If I'm talking about the private IP address allocation type, so there are two different type are available. The first one that is a dynamic, and the next one that is a static. So by default, the dynamic goes when we are selecting the private IP allocation for those things. So that will assign the next available or unassigned or unreserved IP address that is available into the subnext address range. And if I'm talking about the static one, so we can select and assign any unassigned and unreserved IP address, whatever the IP is present into the subnet with our own. So this is the two way how we can go ahead and allocate the private IP addresses over there. Now, moving ahead and talking about the next one, that is public IP address allocation. So here you can see we have multiple things are present like virtual machine, load balancer, VPN gateway, application gateway, Azure firewall, NAT gateway, where we can go ahead and allocate the public IP address as well. So when we are creating a virtual machine over to the Microsoft Azure cloud, so on the network interface card, we can have option available to associate or allocate the public IP address and the private IP address as well. That's okay. In the load balancer, we can configure the public IP address. In the VPN gateway, we can configure the public IP address on the gateway IP configuration. In the application gateway, we can set up the front-end IP configuration and how we can allocate the public IP address. So on a virtual machine, we can go with the dynamic and static. Same goes for the load balancer on the VPN gateway only for non-Azure. And in the application gateway, we can go with the same just option for the V1 and V2. That is going to be the SKU of the application gateway what you are using and the version as well. In the Azure firewall, you cannot go ahead and deploy the dynamic public IP address allocation, and you can do same for the NAT gateway. That's okay. So that is the information that is related to the IP address allocation. Now, moving ahead and talking about the appropriate SKU for the public IP address. So the important thing is that when we are differentiating the private IP address and the public IP address, so the next difference between them is that the private IP is free of cost. That is going to be assigned by your local administrator. But when it comes up to the public IP address, it is going to be chargeable for you and you have to pay some amount for the same. So when Azure is providing you the public IP address, my apologies. So in that case, you can have two different SKUs are available. The first one that is a basic SKU and the next one that is a standard SKU. So in the basic SKU, we can assign with the static or the dynamic allocation method that is opened by default and NSGs are recommended but optional as well. You can assign it to the network interface, VPN gateway, public load balancer, or application gateway. In that thing, it doesn't have the support for availability zone, then you can go with that. But if you want to make your IP zone available, so what you can do, you can go with the standard SKU, and here you can have always the static allocation method available that is secure by default and close to the inbound traffic. can allow it to the inbound traffic by using the NSG, and it can be assigned to the network interfaces, standard public load balancer or the application gateway, and it can be zone redundant, zonal or no zone redundant for you. That's okay. And before moving ahead with this public DNS thing, please feel free to ask about your queries. If you guys are having any query in the session, please let me know for the same. Now, if I'm talking about the public DNS in here, so first of all, we need to know the DNS. DNS is a domain naming system. And if I'm talking about the public DNS, so that is something which help us to resolve the name and the IP addresses for the resources and the services what we have present over to the internet. Nowadays, we are accessing too many websites, a lot of websites with the name like Facebook, Instagram, Yahoo, Google, Twitter, GTechLearn. So we are accessing multiple websites over there. But one thing we all know that the computers only can understand the IP address. So in that case, how we can remember the n number of IP addresses over there. So for the same, the DNS comes up in the picture and help us in order to resolve the IP addresses into the name and name into the IP addresses over there. So that is the working of a DNS. Now let's jump up to the Azure DNS. So if I'm talking about the Azure DNS, so that is a managed services provided by the Microsoft Azure, and that service is a hosting service for the DNS domain that provide you the name resolution by utilizing the Azure infrastructure over there. And by creating the Azure DNS, you can create your address records manually with the relevant zone what we have. So we can create the multiple type of records over to the DNS. Like we can create the A record, 4A record, CNAME record, MX record, TXT record over there. So each record has its own purpose while we are creating the DNS records over there. So if we want to resolve the name into the IP address. So we can go ahead and create a record if we want to resolve that name into the IPv4. If we want to resolve that specific name into the IPv6, so for the same, we can go and create the 4A record over there. If we want to set up an alias, so we can go and create the CNAME or canonical name over there. That's okay. So the Azure DNS is a managed service by which we can utilize the Azure infrastructure and provide the name resolution for the same. As you can see in the picture, then when the query comes up for the www.contoso.xyz, so it could be redirected to the Azure DNS, and then it could be redirected to the specific name server, and the responsive IP will get back to the user. That's okay. Then moving ahead and talking about the Azure DNS zones in here. So we can have Azure DNS zone, and that can be host a DNS record for the specific domain, and the same zone name can be reused in a different resource group or in a different subscription. You can also go ahead and create the multiple zones where you can share the multiple zones can share the same name, and each instance is assigned with the different name server address, and the root and the parent domain is registered at the registrar and pointed to the Azure name server over there. So as of now, here you can see a DNS zone is used to host a DNS record for a particular domain. So for example, if you have your domain and you want to host some records for that specific domain, so you can go ahead and utilize the Azure DNS zones for the same. That's okay. Now moving ahead and talking about the VNet peering in here. So before talking about this thing in here, first we will go ahead and see that if we want to create a virtual network, then how do we go ahead and implement and create a virtual network? So for the same, I'm jumping up back to my browser where it is. Okay, and let me go to the Azure portal onto this browser. And here I'm opening this up. And now you can see I have this virtual network option present as a resync because I have recently used this service in my another demonstration or in my another class. If you can find that specific thing onto the resync section, then what else you can do? You can click on the show portal menu button and you can go for the virtual network, or you can utilize this search box in order to search for the virtual network, and you can go to the virtual network as well. Then you can go ahead and create a new virtual network in here. And once you are on that page, you have to select the specific subscription, what you have. In my case, that is Azure Pass sponsorship. Then you need to select the resource group, like in which resource group you want to deploy the specific virtual network. So I want to deploy it into a new resource group that is named as AZ-700. Then let me go ahead and provide the name of my virtual network. So here I'm providing the name of my virtual network, that is my AZ-700 VNet, for example. And I want to deploy it into the East US region, or I can select it the North Europe region. Like I want to deploy this into the North Europe region. Let me go to the IP address, and here you can see what is the next available IP address for me. So in the IP address space, I can go ahead and select the one or multiple IP addresses. So as of now, you can see if I'm selecting the slash 16 CIDR over there. Let me go ahead here and let me show you something. I'm selecting this one and this is going to be the color. So if I am selecting the slash 16 CIDR as a space in here, you can see that I have total 65,536 IP addresses are available into it. So if I want to use less IP address range in here, then for the same, what I can do, I can decrease that IPv4 address range over there. And how do we do that? Let me show it to you. So here I am going ahead and instead of 16, let me select the 24. And now you can see that I have 256 addresses are available into my virtual network address space. It means that I can go ahead and add 256 different devices into it. That's okay. Now, once I have my address space in place, then I have to create a subnet. So this is going to be my default subnet. And here, let me enter the subnet range. So it should be 10.2.0.0/24. And now here you can see I can go ahead and utilize only 251 IP addresses over there, because 5 IP addresses are going to be as a reserved IP address over there, as we covered into the first presentation. So I have total 251 IP addresses are available in order to utilize it. That's okay. If I want to make this 256 segmentation more like 128, 128, so for the same, what I can do, I can create multiple subnets in here. So that's okay. Let's do it. So here, what I am going to do, let me create a subnet A. And here I can go ahead and use it for the 26, for example, or the 25 as well. And let me go ahead and add. And same as like that, we can go ahead and add one more subnet, that is going to be my subnet B. And here I can type 10.2.0.0 slash 26. And now here you can see this subnet address prefix overlaps with the specific one. So that is the thing. When we are creating a subnet, we need to make sure that we are not overlapping the subnet. So for the same, what we can do, we can go ahead and select one in here. And what else I can do? Me type it again. And as of now, I'm only having that ranges available. So I can make the more ranges available. So let me do one thing. I'm going ahead in here and let me make the change here with the 16. And once I'm done with that, let me add a new subnet because I have utilized all the things. So I can create subnet 1 in here, and this is going to be 10.2.0.0/24. So this is going to be my subnet 1, and I'm going to add my subnet 2 as 10.2.1.0/24. And this is going to be my another subnet. So I have multiple IP address ranges are available. Then I can go ahead and review and create. If I want to enable the bastion host, DDoS protection and firewall, then we can go with that. As of now, I don't want to do that. So let me go ahead and create this virtual network. So this is the way how we can go ahead and create a virtual network. As of now, you can see that if I'm opening up my Microsoft Azure homepage into a new page, new tab, so I am already having few virtual networks are available inside that, like VNet, my VNet, that is my VNet, and VNet demo. Okay, so now you can see that I have this virtual network in place. And if I go to the resource, so here I can verify my address space and the subnet as well. That's okay. Now let's move back to the presentation and talking about the VNet peering. So VNet peering is something that will help us to connect and make a connection between two different Azure virtual network over there. So if I'm talking about the type of the VNet peering, so we can have two different type of VNet peering are available. The first one that is a regional and the next one that is a global. It means that here you can see in that picture, we have three different virtual networks are there: VNet 1, VNet 2, and VNet 3. For example, let's assume my VNet 2 and VNet 3 is present into the East US region, and my VNet 1 is present into the Central India region. And inside my VNet 2, I have one virtual machine. Inside my VNet 3, I have my one virtual machine. So without making the pairing between my VNet 2 and VNet 3 in the ESQS, we cannot create the communication between my this VM2 and this VM3 over there. So if we are maintaining or creating a pairing between the two VNets that are present into the same region, so that is known as a regional peering. Or if we are maintaining the peering between the virtual network that is present into the different region, so that is going to be known as a global peering over there. That's okay. So we can also peer across the subscription and the tenant, and VNet peering is not a transcript over there. That's okay. So that is the concept of the VNet peering over there. So let's go back to the portal and see that how do we go ahead and work with the VNet peering over there. So here you can see that I have this virtual network available, and as of now I'm having two different virtual machine are also present. So my GTL VM01 is having into the VNet demo, and my GTL VM2 is on having into the NI VNet. Okay, and what the next thing I want to do, I want to connect with both virtual machines. Let me go to the bastion, and I am going to connect with my virtual machines. Let me connect it. It could take some time. And now my connection is establishing for my GTL VM02, and it is connected. What the next thing I'm going to do, let me go back to virtual machine, and I'm going to connect my GTL VM01 as well. Let me go ahead and connect with my GTL VM01. Open it. close this tab. And now here you can see if I'm opening up the command prompt on my GTL VM2. So here you can see one thing, ipconfig. This is the private IP address of my GTL VM02. Let me do the same on my this virtual machine. Let me go to the run and opening up CMD. And in my GTL VM1, my public IP address, sorry, private IP address is going to be 10.0.0.4, and here I'm having 10.1.0.4. Let me do one thing quickly. I'm going to disable the firewall to both of the machine for the practical purpose. It is not recommended for the best practices over there. You have to configure the specific firewall rule. By default, operating system firewall is blocking the ICMP requests over there, so we cannot test the connectivity. So for the practical purpose, I'm disabling the firewall on both of the machine. That's okay. Let me turn off the machine for firewall for that machine as well. Now, if I'm trying to access my VM, let me go ahead and click on right ping 10.0.0.4. Then I'm getting error like I won't be able to connect with my machine, request timeout. Why I'm getting this one? Because here you can see my GTL VM01 is in the different virtual network, and my GTL VM02 is having different virtual network over there. So if I want to connect and maintain the connectivity between my both VM, then I need to create the VNet peering between my NYVNet and VNet demo virtual network. That's okay. So how do we do that? And go ahead and create a peering. So here you can see my NYVNet is present into the East US, and my VNet demo is present into the East US as well. Now the thing is that I'm going to select any one of them, and here you can see on the left hand side I'm having one peering option available. So now a quick question from you guys, that if I'm creating that VNet peering, which type of peering it should be? It should be a global VNet peering or it should be a regional VNet peering. Okay, so as of now, if we are talking about this one, so let me type the link name. So this is my VNet 2, or I can type this is my VNet demo to NYVNet peer. Okay, NYVNet, that's okay. And here I can scroll it down, and into the remote peering link name, I can type NYVNet to which of the name VNet demo. That's okay. VNet demo I can select in here. Then in the virtual network, I can select the NYVNet and click on the add button. Once I click on the add, then here you can see my peering is connected, and same thing I can see from my NYVNet, and inside the peering, you can see if I refresh that I have one updating status of peering is available. That's okay. Now it is refreshing up, and once my peering status is connected, then I will be able to make the communication between my GTL VM1 and GTL VM2. So that is how we can go ahead and maintain the connectivity. Now you can see the pairing status is changed to be connected. And then let me go ahead on my GTL VM2 and run that specific command again, and we'll see. And here you can see I'm getting the reply. So same we can test from the GTL VM01. If I'm running in here ping 10.1.0.4. So now here you can see I'm getting the reply over there. So that is how we can create the VNet peering over there. That's okay. So that is the concept of the VNet peering, what we have to discuss. Apart from that, if we are moving back to the presentation and talking about the VPN gateway in here, so let's talk about the VPN gateway. Okay, so if I'm talking about the VPN gateway in Azure, so VPN gateway connect your on-premises network to the Azure by utilizing the different point-to-site and site-to-site VPN methods over there. So if you want to connect your data center to Azure, then how you can do, you can go ahead and connect your data center towards your on-premises over there. That's okay. So here you can see that is something which is providing you the site-to-site connection to connect your on-premises data center to Azure Virtual Network. You can have VNet to VNet connections also available if you want to connect virtual networks with each other by using the VPN gateway. Then you can also go ahead and connect with the VPN, and also you can use the VPN gateway in order to create the point to site user VPN connection in order to connect with the individual virtual network devices over there. That's okay. Now moving ahead with the next part. Now if I'm talking about this site to site VPN in here, so that is the type of VPN which we can utilize when we want to connect our on-premises infrastructure to the Azure infrastructure over there. So for the same, what we can do, we can create one local internet gateway over there. Let me go back in here. And by utilizing that specific local internet gateway, we are creating and deploying one VPN gateway along with the gateway subnet on Azure side, and then we can maintain the site-to-site VPN connectivity over there. So that is the one way how we can go ahead and deploy the site-to-site VPN over there. That's okay. Now, if I'm talking more about that is related to the VPN gateways over there or the site-to-site networking over there, so that is used to connect entire site over there with your existing infrastructure. That's okay. So that is used the different protocols over there. So what is the protocol? So whenever we are talking about the site-to-site VPN over there, so inside that it is using the IKAV, IKEV2 protocol over there. That's okay. Apart from that, moving ahead and talking about the point to site VPN over here. So by using the point to site VPN, we can connect individual users over there. So what it means, so if I'm talking about the point to site VPNs, that is the something that will give you the capability to connect to your virtual network from an individual client computer over there. So you can establish a point to site connection over there in order to set up the remote location over there. And point to site VPN is also useful for the scenarios where you can only have few clients that need to connect to a VPN instead of the entire organization over there. And what are the different protocols is going to be used in point to site VPN. So for the same, you can go ahead and use OpenVPN, SSTP, Secure Socket Turning Protocol, IKEV2 and VPN protocols over there. Now the question comes up, when we are connecting through the point to site VPN over there, then what are the different protocols is going to be used over there? So in that case, or what is the authentication method? My apologies. So for the same, we are using the Azure certificate authentication, and we can use a client certificate that is present on a device is used to authenticate the connecting user over there. That's okay. Now the next thing comes up in the picture that is talking about the ExpressRoute over there. So the ExpressRoute is a service that will provide us the layer 3 connectivity with the redundancy over there. That's okay. And that will let you extend your on-premises network into the Microsoft Cloud over a private connection with the help of a connectivity provider. With ExpressRoute, you can establish the connection to Microsoft Cloud Service such as Microsoft Azure and Microsoft 365 as well. So if I'm talking about the connectivity, so that can be from any to any IPVPN network or point-to-point Ethernet network over there. So it can provide you connectivity to the all regions with the geography over there, and that will provide you the global connectivity with the Express Route Premium add-on, and you can use it on across on-premises connectivity with your Express Route Global Reach. It will give you the bandwidth option from 50 Mbps to 100 Gbps still, and we have unlimited and metered billing models are available for the same. So that is something what we have to discuss in a brief manner for Express Route capability. Moving ahead and talking about the ExpressRoute SKUs over there, so we can have multiple SKUs are available. So if I'm talking about the local one, if available, so it will provide the free address data transfer that will give you the access only one or two as in region in the same area as your circuit. Then we have a standard SKU present that will give you access to all Azure regions into a geopolitical area. That's okay. Then we have a premium SKU present that will provide you the support for more than 4K routes, and it will also give you the ability to connect to more than 10 virtual network and the global connectivity over there. That's okay. Moving ahead and talking about the load balancer in here. So Azure Load Balancer is a service that is used to distribute the traffic between your web servers or the different workloads. So if I'm talking more about the load balancer in here, so what we can do by using the load balancer, we can distribute the traffic to the different workloads what we have attached as a backend pool over there. So talking about the more in Azure load balancer in here, so that is something which operates at the layer 4 of OSI model in here, and it is a single point of contact for the clients. The load balancer distribute the inbound flow that arrive at the cloud at the load balancers front end over there. If I'm talking about the types of the load balancing in here, so we have two different type of load balancers are there. The first one that is known as a public load balancer, and the next one that is known as a internal load balancer for the same. So if we have the traffic that is coming up from the public internet and we want to distribute that traffic towards the backend pool what we have attached as a backend machine software load balancer uh, over there in order to distribute the traffic. So in that case, we are utilizing the public load balancer. And if we want to manage the traffic between or inside the virtual network, so in that case, we are utilizing the internal load balancer where the private IPs are needed on the front end only, and there is no interaction with the public internet over there. So these all are the two types of load balancer what we have present. Now, moving ahead and talking about the SKUs of the load balancer. So SKU is something that is known as a stock keeping unit. That what are the features and what are the things what we are getting onto that specific SKU. So based on the feature, we are having two different SKUs are present for the load balancer. First one is a basic, and the next one that is known as a standard SKU over there. That's okay. I'm talking about the first one that is talking about the backend pool feature. So in the basic SKU, you can go ahead and set up to 300 instances as a backend pool for your basic SKU load balancer. If I'm talking about the next one that is standard SKU, so by utilizing the standard SKU load balancer, you can add up to 1000 instances as a backend of that specific load balancer. That's okay. Now, if I'm talking about the health probe in there, so on the basic SKU of load balancer, you can only utilize the TCP and HTTP protocol as a health probe. However, in the standard SKU, you can go ahead and use TCP, HTTP, and HTTPS as well. If I'm talking about the availability zone, so basic SKU load balance are not zone redundant, but standard SKUs load balancer are zone redundant and zonal front ends and inbound and outbound traffic is utilized over there. If we are talking about the multiple front end, so in the basic SKU, we can only having the inbound only multiple front end option available. However, in the standard SKU, we can have inbound and outbound multiple front ends are available. If we want to secure our load balancer, so that is open by default and we can utilize energy optional. But in the standard load balancer, it is closed to the inbound flow unless it is going to be allowed by the NSG and internal traffic from the virtual network to the internal load balancer is allowed. Apart from that, talking about the most important feature that is SLA service level agreement. So in the basic SKU, you are not getting any type of SLA over there. However, in the standard one, you are getting the 99.99% of the SLA present over there. That's okay. Now let's move ahead and talk about the next topic, what we have to discuss. So here we are gonna discuss the network security group. So if I'm talking about the network security group, so in that one, we can utilize the limit virtual network traffic over there by creating the inbound and outbound rule over there. And we can associate that into the subnet or into the network interface level as well. And we can use different security rule in order to allow and deny the traffic over there. That's okay. Apart from that, if I'm talking about the rules in here, so by default, few inbound and outbound rules are present over there that will allow the virtual network and load balancers and all other traffic is denied to that specific resource over there. That's okay. Now talking about the service endpoints in here. So before moving ahead with that part of the preparation, let's jump up to the portal and see that how do we go ahead and utilize the network security group over there. That's okay. So now here you can see in my portal, I'm gonna create one new virtual machine for the same. Let's get started in here and I'm going to create a new virtual machine and in the resource group, I'm selecting AZ-700 and this is going to be my GTL VM03 and I want to deploy that machine into the North Europe region and I want to install server 2019 data center into it. Let me go ahead and set up the username and the password for my specific virtual machine. Let me confirm the password for the same. Then I am going to unselect this RDP option and however I am selecting the HTTP and HTTPS for the same. Let me go with the disk networking management. I don't want to make any changes in here and let me go with the review and create option. So it is validating the options, whatever the options I have selected for creating the virtual machine. And when the validation gets done, each and every option is correct, selected by me, then I will be able to create one new virtual machine. And once I have initiated the deployment of the virtual machine, after some time, I will be able to see one virtual machine in place. All right. So the deployment of the virtual machine is in progress. We have to wait for few minutes in order to see one virtual machine GTL VM03 in place. And once we have our virtual machine in place, then we can go ahead and test our NSG practical what we are performing as of now. So till the time the deployment of the virtual machine is in progress, let me jump up to the existing virtual machines what I have and see that how we can go ahead and see the things in network security group. That's okay. In my GTL VM01, here you can see if I'm moving to the networking section. So inside the networking section, you can see that I am having this option present for the network security group, and here I am having few rules are present, like RDP rule allow VNet. So the rule that is having the priority 65,000, 65,001, 65,500, those are the default rule what we are getting when we are creating the network security group or when we are creating the virtual machine. So in that case, a by default network security group is going to be associated with that specific virtual machine over there. So once I have my GKL VM03 in place, then I can go ahead and try to connect that virtual machine by using the RDP over there. So now you can see the deployment of my GKL VM03 is completed. Let me go ahead and I'm trying to connect with my this virtual machine as of now. That's okay. So now here I am connecting with my GTL VM03 by using the RDP method over there. That's okay. And it is checking for the prerequisites in order to connect with the virtual machine. That's okay. And let me go ahead and download the RDP file. So here you can see the port prerequisite not met. And if I am going to connect with that virtual machine by using the RDP, I'm expecting one error. So it is trying to make a connection with my virtual machine, but I won't be able to access with my specific virtual machine and I am getting this error. Why I'm getting this error? So if I'm moving back to the networking section of my GTL VM03, then you can see there is no any RTP rule is present. So if I want to make a connection with my GTL VM03, then what I need to do, I need to go with the add inbound port rule, and here I need to add one rule that is for the RDP, and the priority is going to be 100 in my case, and that is allow any RDP inbound rule. Let me go ahead and click on the add, and it will add one inbound security rule for my virtual machine GTL VM03, and it will allow the traffic for the RDP for this specific virtual machine. Once I have this rule in place, be remember guys, whenever you are making the changes into the network security group inbound and outbound rule, it could take 10 or 15 minutes and 5 minutes in order to reflect the changes. So once you are done with the changes into your networking section, you can go ahead, refresh your page, and then again try to connect with your specific virtual machine. So let me go ahead and select the GTL VM03, and let me try to connect with my virtual machine once again by using the RDP over there, and it is checking for the energy prerequisite once again. And once the checking has been done, then I can go ahead and connect. So now here you can see that all the prerequisites are completed, everything looks good in here. Then I can go ahead and download the RDP file, and once I'm on that, let me go ahead and trying to connect with my virtual machine, and here you can see that I am getting the dialog box for the connections. Let me enter the password for the same, or what else I can do, let me download the RDP file once again and I can connect with them. That's okay. So I'm opening it up. Just give me a quick moment in here. Hi everyone. Am I audible? Maybe there is some glitch in on my end. Just give me a quick moment, guys. Maybe there is some technical glitch on my end. I'm trying to resolve it. Then I'm come back to the session. Hi everyone, and my apologies for the delay. And maybe there's some technical glitch on my end. Now everything looks good, and I'm trying to connect with my virtual machine once again. No problem. So I'm downloading the RDP file once again, and here you can see I have my RDP file in here. Let me go ahead and click on the connect button. That's okay. Let me go to the more choices, and I'm selecting and entering the detail. Here you can see my username and the password as well. and let me go to OK button. And now here you can see that I am connecting with my virtual machine. And now here you can see I have successfully take the remote session of my virtual machine over there. That's okay. So this is how we can work with the network security group. So once I have added the security role, then I have a connected with my virtual machine and I able to connect with my virtual machine. That's okay. Now the next topic what I have in here is service endpoint. That's okay. If I'm talking about the service endpoint in here, so for the same, what we can do, we can create the secure and direct connectivity to the Azure services over to the optimized group or the Azure backbone network over there. And for the optimal routing, we can go ahead and use the Azure service traffic from our virtual network. So now in this picture here, you can see that I have this storage account available and I have blocked the internet access for that specific storage account. That's okay. And I have this virtual machine present into my specific virtual network. That is this one, VNet one, for example. And if I only want to get access to the storage account to that specific virtual network only, so for the same, what I can do, I can create one service endpoint in my virtual network and give access to the storage account over there. So let's get started over to the portal and see that how do we go ahead and work with the same. That's okay. So here you can see that I have multiple virtual networks are already present. Let me go ahead to my VNet demo or AZ-700 VNet as well. And here you can see on the left hand side, I have the service endpoint option available. And let me go ahead and click on the add button. And inside the service, I'm going to select Microsoft Doc Storage. And in the subnet, I have selected the subnet one and click on the add. So that is how we can add the service endpoint into the virtual network. That's okay. And once I am done with that and my service endpoint is updated successfully in here, then what else I can do? I can go to the storage account, and in the storage account you can see that I have this storage account available with me, and in the storage browser I will be able to access that specific storage accounts blob and the data what the data I have present into it. But if I am moving back to the networking section in here, and in the networking section, what the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select the enable from selected virtual network and IP address only. And here I'm adding the existing virtual network that is going to be my this VNet or that VNet as well. That's okay. So in that case you can see that I will be able to use it. But why I'm not getting my this virtual network, that is my AZ-700 VNet, because that is into the North Europe location and my storage account is in the East US location. So what else I can do? I can select my NY VNet that is into the East US region, and here I can again create one service endpoint. That's okay. Let me add a new one. And let me go with the Microsoft Doc storage. Here I can select the subnet that is going to be my default subnet. And let me add it. Once I have add that specific service endpoint to the virtual network, then after I will be able to add that specific virtual network as a networking section in my storage account over there. That's okay. Now here you can see in the home option, I am moving back to my storage account, and in the storage account, let me select this one, and inside this one, let me go to the storage browser, and here now I have access. Let me go to the networking option in here, and inside that what I can do, I can go ahead into the firewall and virtual network option. Let me add the existing virtual network. And here I'm selecting NYVNet. And in the subnet, I have selected the default subnet and go with the OK. So once I have updated that setting in here, let me go ahead and click on the save button. And it is taking some time in order to save the firewall and network setting for the storage accounts in here. And once I have those settings in place, then what we can do, we can go ahead and test our configuration, what we have made into the account over there. That's all right. Now you can see that this settings is saved. Let me go ahead and refresh my this page. Or what else I can do? I can open a new tab, and in a new tab I can open portal.azure.com. That's okay. And now here you can see in the portal.azure.com what I can do. I can go to my storage account, and in my storage account, when I'm trying to access my storage browser, and then I'm going to access the container what I have. This is the corp data. And now you can see I'm getting this error. This request is not authorized to perform this operation because I'm trying to use my public internet in order to access the specific storage account. However, I have set the connection for VNet demo and NY VNet as a part of the access network over there. So now you can see here into the specific virtual machine what I have. Let me go back to the portal, and here I am going to open my GTLVM02. That is a part of my NYVNet. So it is opening up. Let me go to this GTLVM02, and I'm going to connect with that specific virtual machine. And let me enter the username and the password for the same. Let me hit on the connect. Let me enter the password. Let me go ahead and click on the connect once again. And it is connected to the Bastion service. That's okay. And now here I am opening up the Edge browser, and here I am going to portal.azure.com. And here I need to make a login to the Azure portal over there. So let me go ahead, and I want to use this account as of now. Let me copy this one in here, and I'm going to enter my password for like a specific account. Let me go with the sign in, and I'm making a login into the portal. And from this virtual machine, if I'm moving ahead to the storage account, I'm selecting the storage account in which I have made the configuration. And in the storage browser, you can see that I can easily go ahead and access the container what I have. But if the same thing I'm trying to do with my public internet with my own machine what I'm using, then I won't be able to access that storage account. So that is the use of a service point endpoint over there. That's okay. Now moving ahead and talking about the next topic that is known as a Azure Monitor over there. So if I'm talking about the Azure Monitor in here, so that is a service that help us to maximize the availability and the performance of the application and the services what we have present into it. So Azure Monitor can detect and diagnose the issue across the application and the dependencies with the application insight. It can correlate the infrastructure issue with the VM insight and the container insight. You can drill into your monitoring data with the log analytics over there for troubleshooting and diagnostic. You can go ahead and work with the support operations at the scale with automated action. You can create the visualization with having the Azure dashboard and workbook over there. It can also collect the data from monitor resources by using the Azure Monitor metrics. It can collect the data from monitored resources as well, and also it will investigate and change the data for routine monitoring and tagging the incident using the change analysis over there. So if I'm talking about the matrices in here, so that are the numerical values that describe some aspect of the system at a point in time. They are lightweight and the capable of supporting near real-time scenario that can logs the contain different kind of data organized into record with different set of property for each type, and we can have different telemetry available like event and the traces. It can perform the data and it can be combined for the analysis purposes over there as well. That's okay. So Azure Monitor also aggregate and correlate data across the multiple Azure subscription and the tenants into the addition to hosting data for other services, because the data is stored together and it can be correlated and analyzed by using a custom set of tools over there. Then we have a topology option is present. So by using the topology, we can provide a visual representation of our networking elements. We can view all the resources in a virtual network and in a resource to the association and the relationship between the resources. And we can also go ahead and use the network watcher instance is in the same region as in the virtual network over there. So let's jump up to the portal and show the different things what we have present. So here in a portal, you can see if I'm moving back to my virtual network option, let me select the VNet demo in here. And here inside this option, we can go ahead and see the diagram in here. So in the diagram, we can go ahead and select the resource group and the virtual network, and accordingly, we can see the diagrams. Now here you can see that we are having one virtual machine presenting to it. We have a network security group, network interface card, one subnet, one virtual network, Azure subnet, that is another subnet, what we have presenting to that specific virtual network. And if there is any root table is present, then we can see that specific root table as well. So that is how we can go ahead and see the topology into the diagram. As well as here you can see inside the network manager, we can have different connectivity configuration and security admin configuration related things are present. So we have multiple things are present in here. Same as like that, if I'm moving ahead into the virtual net machine, sorry, and let me select my GTL VM03. Inside that one, if I'm moving ahead with the networking option, let me go with that. And in the networking, I'm selecting my network interface. So in my network interface here, you can see we can have multiple options are present, effective route and all the things are. So we can go ahead and see what are the different effective routes, what we have associated with that specific network interface card. So here you can see the default routes what we have associated into it. So that is how we can work with the topology and the things over there. That's okay. So that is all what we have to discuss here into the AZ-700 exam prep session. Now, this is a time for the practice questions, that how we are seeing the practice question into the AZ-700 examination. So please take a part into it and go ahead and mark your answer. So let's get started. So if I'm moving ahead and talking about the question number 1 in here, so that is talking about question number 1 is in here. When one needs the resource in one virtual network to communicate with resources in a subnet in a different virtual network, which Azure network feature should be used? Your options are internal DNS, availability zone, and the VNet peering. So what is going to be the correct answer? Please put your answers on the chat. I'm starting up the timer in here. Okay, so for this question, the correct answer is going to be C, that is a VNet peering. All right, thank you for the quick answers in here on the chat. Now, moving ahead with the next question, that is talking about what are two type of VPNs. So the option one is policy based and group based. Next one, policy based and static. And the third option is group based and dynamic. So please put your answers on the chat. So yes, the correct answer for this question is going to be A, that is policy based and the rules based over there. That's okay. Moving ahead with the next question, that is talking about an engineer wants to consume a specific set of service through Microsoft peering. Which feature should be configured? Group filter, network firewall. You cannot consume only a subset of a service. So please have your answers on the chat. So the answer is correct. The A is going to be a correct answer. We can use the root filter over there. That's okay. Now, moving ahead with the fourth question in here, what is ExpressRoute Global Reach primarily designed for? Connect a data center to the public internet, connect a local service provider to the data center, connect branch offices across the world. Please put your answers on the chat. Correct. So for this question, the answer is going to be C. We are using the ExpressRoute Global Reach for connecting the branch offices across the world over there. That's okay. Thank you for the quick answers in here. Now, moving ahead with the question number 5 in here, and it is when deploying a new Azure load balancer that must support outbound traffic rule. So which SKU should be selected? Standard, basic, or option number 3 is either standard or the basic. So please have your answers on the chat. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be A. I'm receiving B as an answer, but no, that is not a correct answer because when we need a support for the outbound traffic rule in the load balancer, then we must have to select standard as a SKU for the load balancer. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be A, that is standard. That's all right, no problem. Moving ahead with the question number 6 in here. So, which of the following statement about external load balancers is correct? They don't have a listener's IP address. they have a private front-facing IP address, they have a public IP address. So please put your answers on the chat. So the correct answer for this question is going to be C, because the external load balancer, or we can say the public load balancer, is having the public IP address. That's okay. Now moving ahead to the question number 7. So that is, which of the following priority levels is considered to be the highest for a security role? Options are A 0, B 100, C 110. What is going to be the correct answer for this question? Okay, so 100 is the correct answer. So the priority level 100 is considered as the highest for a security role over there. That's okay. Now moving ahead to the question number 8 in here. What two types of data are used by Azure Monitor? Options are policies and logs, metrics and log, and database and storage. So what is going to be the correct answer for this question? So I have received C as an answer, but no, that is not a correct answer. If I'm talking about the Azure Monitor, so the two type of data that are used by the Azure Monitor is going to be metrics and the log. So option B is going to be the correct answer for the question number 8 in here. That's okay. Now moving ahead with the next question, that is question number 9. Which of the following statement about Azure Monitor Log is correct? Option A, Azure Monitor Log collects data from all Azure resources automatically. Azure Monitor Logs collect the organized log and performance data from monitored resource. You can use Azure Monitor Log with or without workspace. So what is going to be the correct answer for this question? Please put it on the chat. Okay, so this answer is going to be the correct. Azure Monitor Log collect and organize log and performance data from the monitored resources only over there. That's okay. Now, moving ahead with the next question, that is question number 10. You have an Azure virtual network and on-premises data center. You are planning a site-to-site VPN connection between the data center and the virtual network. Which two resources should you include in your plan? Options are user-defined route, virtual network gateway, Azure firewall, web application firewall, on-premises data gateway, and Azure application gateway, a local network gateway. So you have to select the two resources. So two answers is going to be the correct for this question. Please put your answers on the chat. So if you want to plan for the same, then you have to include virtual network gateway and local network gateway in your plan. over there. That's okay. Now, moving ahead to the next question, that is saying that you have an Azure subscription that contains an Azure app service. Azure that app uses a URL https colon colon slash www.concurso.com. You need to use a custom domain on Azure front door for www.concurso.com. The custom domain must use a certificate from an allowed certification authority. What should you include in the solution? An enterprise application in a Azure Active Directory, Active Directory certificate service, Azure Key Vault, Azure Application Gateway. What is going to be the correct answer? So for this question, the correct answer is going to be the key vault because you have to use a custom domain in here. That's okay. Now, moving ahead with the question number 12, you are configuring two network virtual appliances in an Azure virtual network, and the network virtual appliances will be used to inspect all the traffic within the virtual network. You need to provide high availability for the NVAs. The solution must minimize the administrative effort. What should you include in the solution? Option A, Azure Standard Load Balancer. Option B, Azure Application Gateway. Option C, Azure Traffic Manager. Option D, Azure Front Door. Please have your answers on the chat. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be A, that is a Standard Load Balancer. Because here you can see you are configuring two network virtual appliance and in and Azure Virtual Network, and that is used to inspect all traffic within the virtual network. So for the same, we can use a standard load balancer over there. That's okay. Moving to the next question, number 13. You have 5 virtual machines that run Windows Server. Each virtual machine hosts a different web app. You plan to use an Azure Application Gateway to provide access to each web app by using the host name of www.contoso.com and a different URL path for each web app. For example, www.contoso.com/app1. You need to control the flow of traffic based on the URL path. What should you configure? HTTP setting, listener, rule, rewrite. So what is going to be the correct answer for this question? Please mark it on the chat box. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be C, because when we are running the Azure Application Gateway, so we can create URL based or path based routing over there. That's okay. Moving to the next question, number 14. You have an Azure subscription that contain multiple virtual machine in the West US Azure region. You need to use traffic analytics. Which two resources should you create? Option 1, an Azure Monitor workbook. Option B, a log analytics workspace. Option C, a storage account. Option C, an Azure Sentinel workspace. Option E, an Azure Monitor Data Collection rule. So what is going to be the correct answer for this question? Please mark it on the chat box. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be B and C. You have to create a log analytics workspace. And for storing all the traffic analytics things over there, you can create the storage account for the same. That's okay. Now, moving to the next question, that is question number 15. So you have a hybrid environment that uses ExpressRoute to connect on an on-premises network in Azure. You need to log the uptime and the latency of the connection periodically by using the Azure virtual machine and an on-premises virtual machine. What should you use? Azure Monitor, IP Flow Verify, Connection Monitor, Azure Internet Analyzer. Please put your answers on the chat. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be C, that is a connection monitor. We have to use the connection monitor on the same case. Moving ahead with the question number 16, you need to use traffic analytics to monitor the uses of application deployed to Azure Virtual Machine. Which Azure Network Watcher feature should you implement? NSG Flow Log, IP Flow Verify, Connection Monitor, and the Packet Capture. Please give your answers on the chat. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be A, that is a NSG flow log. Okay. Moving to the next question, you need to provide access to storage one. The solution must meet the platform as a service network requirement and the business requirement. What should you include in the solution? Option A private endpoint. Option B, Azure Traffic Manager. Option C, Azure Front Door. Option D, a service endpoint. Please put your answer on the chat. The correct answer is going to be D. We are creating the service endpoint as we seen the same thing into the practical over there. That's okay. Moving to the next question, that is question number 18. You plan to deploy Azure Virtual Network. You need to design the subnet. Which three type of resource require a dedicated subnet? The options are Azure Bastion, Azure Active Directory Domain Services, Azure Private Link, Azure Application Gateway version 2, VPN Gateway. Please mark your answers on the chat. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be A, D, and E, Azure Bastion, Azure Application Gateway, and the VPN gateway over there. So that is going to be the correct answer. We have to click Azure Bastion subnet, the gateway subnet, and the application gateway subnet over there. That's okay. Moving to the question number 19, you are planning the IP addressing for the subnet in Azure Virtual Networks. Which type of resource requires IP address in the subnet? Internal load balancer, storage account, Azure Virtual Network NAC, service endpoint policy. So what is going to be the correct answer? Please put it on the chat. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be A, that is the internal load balancer. And moving to the next question, question number 20. You have an Azure application gateway named AppGW1 that balances requests to a web app named app1. You need to modify the server variable in the response header of app1. What should you configure on AppGW1? HTTP setting, rewrites, URL, and the listener. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be B. And that is all what we have in this session called AZ-700 exam prep session over there. And thank you very much everyone for joining me into this webinar session of AZ-700 exam preparation. I'm also sharing the slide deck PDF what I have utilized into this session over to the chat with you all. And if you guys want to register yourself for the upcoming events and the webinars, and you wanted to see the past events and the webinar what we have conducted, so you can visit to the gtechlearn.com/webinar ASPX and the past events as well, and you can get access towards those things over there. And by using that specific scan QR code and link as well, you can go register yourself for the upcoming webinars and the events over there. So thank you very much for joining me in this session. We'll see you all into the next webinar session. Till the time, happy learning and thank you.